It's the Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, 2K crew? Yes, it is that time of the week again, and your eyes do not deceive you. Kyle, 2K's Kaler, live with us in the hot seat today. 2K's my dear God, we have NFL news aplenty.
Been a busy weekend. Been a busy day today. A lot of
Busy
things.
day. I've been here at the studio. I got here at 7, a little after 7, and I've had to make like 4 extra slides just because of the trades and everything and signings that have gone on. Even though free agency doesn't start till tomorrow, but we've got NFL news, and this is one of my favorite shows. 2Ks. Yeah. I know it seems like I say that at least once a month, but this is our way too early MLB picks. We're gonna pick all the player awards, so MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, as well as all of our divisional winners and our 3 wildcard winners, as well as our World Series winners. So yes, it is way too early. The season hasn't even started. They haven't even broke camp yet, but you know what? Might as well swing big now.
Yeah.
Because if you want to get in and ride along with us, the odds of this shit is never going to be better. And while I say that, let me log into FanDuel so we can get some updated odds as far as all this goes. But 2Ks, while that's loading, we got some news to get to, partner. We've got some motherfucking news to get to, so let's get into it. Let's see here. News. Here we go. Bada boom, bada bing. Big one that kind of started the day, 2Ks, Davante Adams. Adam Schefter has been a busy ass dude today. He tweets out six-time Pro Bowl wide receiver Davante Adams is signing a 2-year deal with the Los Angeles Rams. Per source, Adams arrives at a time the Rams are preparing to move on from standout wide receiver Cooper Kupp. Big deal. Big deal.
Very big deal to me. I mean, we saw it last year where Cooper Kupp just wasn't the same.
Right.
That, injuries I think have finally played a factor. A lot of miles on him. Not, the ideal wide receiver body that is able to take on a lot of hits like he has throughout his career. And I just think that he's lost, a step or so. And so they made that announcement earlier this offseason that, they had no plans in bringing him back. We're looking at moving him. Today, Davante Adams is a step up. I mean, he is at their points in their career. He is the better wide receiver. He's got the body that can withhold it, even though the Jets situation last year was a complete fucking dumpster fire and did not work out. Davante Adams still put up really, really good numbers and proved that he can still play the position at a very, very high level. And the Rams are one play away from being, possibly punching their ticket back into a Super Bowl opportunity last season. So, I think this is a home run signing for the Rams, in my opinion.
And I was on here last week just curious as to why everyone was just so adamant about trading Matthew Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. They had announced and told that, all right, Cooper Kupp, feel free to explore trades. This is where we're at. I totally get it. He really hasn't been the same since that Triple Crown season. So one would say, okay, yeah, it is time to move on. And they hit pay dirt with Puka Nacua, drafting him where they did. So partner him with still a veteran wide receiver, probably a little bit more in their prime than Kupp is. Still a great possession receiver, some of the best hands in the NFL. I think it's a home run for Sean McVay and that whole crew over there, especially if you're trying to, what a lot of us would say is move on from Cooper Kupp. And as far, I didn't see the actual details of the deal so far, but yeah, as far as the fit is concerned, I have a feeling he's going to be a very, very good addition to that team. The next one that came, this one actually might have broke first. I can't remember which one broke first, but again, from Adam Schefter. From trade to Truce, excuse me, and beyond, the Browns and Myles Garrett reached an agreement today on a record contract extension that averages $40 million per year and includes $123.5 million in guaranteed money, and now makes him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Source tells ESPN. So, old buddy from Vegas, Crosby, had that distinction for a very short time. About maybe 4 or 5 days, And I have a feeling that this contract is a very good stepping stone from that. Like Crosby reset the pass rushing market. And if you're Myles Garrett, if you're a lot of other these pass rushers, you look at that contract and you're like, okay, yeah, Crosby's the shit.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling if you were to rank the pass rushers in order, Crosby and Garrett would be 1A, 1B, 1C, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the guys on that level, they're like, we're about to get paid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kudos to him. I really didn't see him staying in Cleveland, especially for Cleveland to come off that amount of money with the contract with the Deshaun Watson contract.
Yeah.
Still in flux. So kudos to them. If I was him, I would have sought the trade and see where I ended up, because it doesn't seem like you're winning in Cleveland anytime soon.
No, and that was my feelings when I saw this. I'm like, yeah, kudos to him. He got paid a lot of money and deserves it. I mean, like we said, one of the best pass rushers in the game, and there's no argument to be made there. But yeah, he came out. He was pretty vocal about wanting to be traded, to a contender, and which makes a lot of sense at this time in his career. To do that, there's obviously going to be plenty of contenders out there that are willing to pay him
the Lions for one.
The money that that he got there, and then turn it around on Cleveland. I guess it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, there's so many things that they have to improve on. There's so much. The Deshaun Watson contract is just awful, and they're gonna end up having to pay all that, and there's nothing that they can do about it. But it was almost like this signing for Cleveland is kind of a desperation, like we have to do whatever we can to stay somewhat relevant. And I just don't see any possibility of them being worth a shit anytime soon.
No, and it's almost one of those, like, we need some good PR. So let's sign our biggest asset right now, our hottest commodity, to make sure he's here, even though we might have to overpay for him. Which, and in this case, I'm not saying they're overpaying for him, because Myles Garrett is one of the best at what he does, and at a high price position. Yeah, it's like quarterback, left tackle, pass rusher, some sort of combination of those make up most of your salary cap. So with this, you have the highest paid, was the highest paid player, or highest guaranteed money player in all of sports history. We'll get to that next. But now you have the highest non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. So there's a lot of money being thrown around in Cleveland. The only thing is, you can throw money around as much as you want, but it's not, the W's are not aligning with that. So the draft is coming. I touched on last week how it seems like they're destined to draft Cam Ward. I mean, that's kind of, I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion, but Shefty came out and said this team is drafting a quarterback, which makes sense, because that's the cheapest route they can go with all the money locked up with Watson.
They have to do it. I mean, they need a quarterback. They obviously showed last year that, they had their run there where they were playing Jameis for a little bit, and things were actually looking, Jameis can win football games in this league. He's just not the guy that's going to get you to the promised land and be able to win. He hasn't proven that he can do that yet.
Give you the best preseason pump-up speeches ever.
But then they chose not to play him the last 4 or 5 games of the season, because they were in straight tank mode and they wanted to lose. And they put out arguably the worst quarterback I've ever seen in NFL football in DTR, and so it's obvious they have to go get a quarterback, and there's not really free agents that they to choose from
which free agent would go there?
You're going to be spending a shit ton of money on one that's really not that great. To me, there's kids coming out of the draft, even though I don't think that this is a very good quarterback draft class.
Me either.
The upside still, I think, in my opinion, outweighs who's available out there to go and pick up. So I don't know. I just don't see any world where Cleveland is anything relevant in the NFL for any here in the near future.
No. And if anything, they're in a perfect scenario. If you are a Browns fan, is you're hoping that they get the number 1 or number 2 pick next year, and there's a more viable quarterback there. But if you take Cam Ward, you're kind of putting your eggs in that basket. So I mean, kudos to you Browns fans. I know you've been through a lot lately in particular, but seems like you haven't got your shit together since you let Baker Mayfield go. I mean, that's kind of that's not even an opinion. That's just a fact. Okay, well we got let's go to DK 2Ks. Shefty tweeted out more Seahawks trades. Seattle is sending 2-time Pro Bowl wide receiver DK Metcalf to the Steelers per sources. DK's only been a 2-time Pro Bowl. How is that possible?
Shocking. Yeah, it's kind of shocking when you think.
How is that possible? The dude is a stud. Seattle now has traded Geno Smith to the Raiders and Metcalf to the Steelers. Huge pickup for the Steelers. Still unsure who the quarterback is there, but as far as the wide receivers go, whoever is going to be that wide receiver, you got dudes. You got dudes, and you got Freiermuth coming across the middle. Najee is still a serviceable back. I mean, there's rumors that with this draft, the running back draft class, where the Raiders are situated with the number of pick they are, they could explore the kid from North Carolina or even further to kind of help bolster that room. But huge sign, and I believe this was a trade for a 2nd-round pick for DK. So if you think about it, 2Ks, if I gave you the option, would you trade I believe Debo went for a 5th round or DK for a 2nd round? Who would you be leaning towards?
Probably DK, just because I think he is a number one receiver that you slide in there. He's a number one guy. I don't think that Debo is that. I think Debo is more of a specialist. You try to get him the ball and space and let him do things with his feet and his yards after the catch. That's what he is. That's what he's good at. That's what he does. He's not a receiver though that is going to get open downfield. He's not a great route runner.
He's not going to high point the ball in the
no. And talking about Cooper Kupp kind of losing a step. I think Debo is another one that has kind of lost a step. There's been a lot of injuries. I thought for
a lot of carries and a lot of other
long time
stuff,
there, Kyle Shanahan kind of forced him the ball maybe a little bit too much and made it situations where late in seasons he was always banged up, working through an injury. Never really was able to go through a season where he was healthy for all every game of the season, was able to play all the way through. So at this point, I probably am leaning on DK for sure. This situation here now, though, with Pittsburgh, where you have DK and Pickett,
that should be electric.
Pickens,
that should be electric.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about two just mismatches. I mean, two big wide receivers. Like, this is when you draw a picture of what you want as a wide receiver, like a physical wide receiver. These are the two specimens that you.
DK's an avatar.
Yeah,
sorry, he's an avatar.
And Pickens is that also. But the thing is going to be, can these two bottle it up and
not fight each other,
and not fight the other team, and there's going to have to be somebody that they hire on the staff there that's going to have to
a big Dom style.
Yes, that's what they're going to need, because you talk about a very, very high Dom. Ego.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, and like I said, whether they stick with Russ or with Justin Fields or insert name of other quarterback here, decent offensive line, and now plenty of weapons to play with, and we even talk about Warren, who's kind of the home run threat out of the backfield. So maybe they, instead of using that the running back pick, maybe they go shore up the defense a little bit, help TJ out and those guys. So,
and I guess 2nd round pick for me, like I can't help but think about like all the wide receiver talent that just keeps on coming out of these drafts. And I know that this season it's not like they're talking about a ton of wide receivers.
Right.
We're not hearing about like what we've seen in years past where there's 7-8 of them going in the 1st round or something like that. Not necessarily talking about that, but I like Metcalf. I think Metcalf is very solid. Do I think Metcalf is a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL? No, I don't. And so the money that you're going to pay him and giving up a 2nd round pick, and there's a lot of miles on DK also. Sure. I think I'd rather have the draft pick. If I need or I want another wide receiver threat, I'm looking into 2nd round talent and using that draft pick on bringing a 21-year-old and starting with that
Way cheaper.
instead of
Way
because
cheaper.
there's money there's a lot of things elsewhere that Pittsburgh has to be better at. Pittsburgh has to get better on the offensive line. Pittsburgh has to get better at quarterback. Russell Wilson is not the answer anymore to so I think there was a lot of talk about them not being very good at the receiver position last year. Obviously, you really can't count on Pickens a whole lot because he's always just he's got something going on all the time on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And he's for lack of a better term, I just think he's a distraction more than he is good.
Can be
And,
very much so. Very much so.
So to me, using money elsewhere, I think would have been smarter than bringing in a DK Metcalf. And you could draft I'm not saying you're going to draft a wide receiver that's going to be at DK's level right now, but I think you're going to draft a wide receiver that can be better than DK 2 or 3 years from now.
Now let's take this on the flip side. Let's kind of see where the Seahawks are at.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, within like the last 48 hours or 72 hours, they've traded Geno Smith, released Tyler Lockett, and now traded DK Metcalf. There's no offense there. I mean, Jackson Smith, in Jigma's the only receiver left, which he came on.
Oh, he was the best wide receiver on that team last year. He's better than DK at this point in their careers. He's better than DK, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, you take a flyer on drafting a wide receiver. That first 2 years, okay, DK is better than Jackson than Njigba. After the first year, going into the second season, he's the better receiver now. So that's DK is he's not Justin Jefferson level. He's not Jamar Chase level. He's not those elite wide receivers for sure. Is he a wide receiver number one? Yeah, in a lot of situations he is, but he's not like that elite guy that I think I'm willing to give up a second round pick on. Like his best playing days, in my opinion, are behind him. I don't think he's gonna be better now in the situation that he's in, or anything like that. So
it's a big crapshoot. What the hell's going on in Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of, I know this isn't going to play into any part of it, but as a Seahawks fan, you kind of have to take it. I'm not going to say a slap in the face, but a what the fuck. Now Pete Carroll's in Vegas, and guess who trades for Geno Smith? Vegas. A lot of folks were saying that they expected them to trade for DK as well. So, I mean, the whole thing seems weird. It's like they're just blowing it up kind of at the last minute. And who knows you can't fill all those holes immediately through the draft. And if you're a free agent, why in the hell would you go out there? There's no one there. No one there. Just a skeleton crew of an NFL team.
Yeah, and I think for them, it's were they a solid team last year? Yes, they've been a solid team for the last 2, 3, 4 years in a row now.
Yeah.
But they're not
elite.
They're not that level yet.
Yeah.
So it's I think it's instead of keep going through the motions and keep doing the same thing, kind of similar to what Pittsburgh has done now for a long, long time, instead of going through those motions and just being the same, hey, let's just fucking get ahead of it now and start the rebuild. And that's what they have to do.
Just blow it up, try it again.
Yep.
Well, the team that's not blown it up 2Ks is the Buffalo Bills. Because Shefty tweeted out this was kind of a shocker. Probably everything that we've covered so far, this is the most shocking one to me. Tweets out a new NFL mark. The Bills and Josh Allen reached an agreement on a new record-setting 6-year, $330 million contract that includes $250 million guaranteed, the largest guarantee ever given to an NFL player, per sources tell ESPN. Allen had 4 years left on his deal, which was kind of what shocked me. But the Bills still rewarded their franchise quarterback with a new benchmark deal. Do you like this? Keeping Josh Allen there 2Ks.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it for
you gotta keep
players. I always love to see the players get the benefit, get paid. As far as the business side of it, maybe not. But the way these things all work too is that you see the headlines and you see all the money, but you don't necessarily see the way that these are structured and how things work.
They always rework it.
They
put
rework
more into
things.
a signing bonus.
And this is like when you get in front of this and you make your franchise quarterback happy, then that's when you know that he's going to be willing to work with you in the future.
100%.
On what is and how, because honestly, I mean, I have to be honest, the way that these organizations and the NFL, especially how they move money and change things up and
Yeah.
renegotiate and on and on. I don't understand it.
I don't either.
I don't know. I could study it all night long and I still wouldn't have much of an understanding on it all. That's not. Um, but I just know I'm never going to be upset for seeing where
No.
the player,
No.
especially a player of Josh Allen's caliber, getting taken care of. In my opinion, you do that now, then he's willing to work with you in the future, and you don't see the distractions and the shit that you see with some other organizations, and because they just simply don't want to pay the guy. And
being an MVP must be good life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Must be a good life.
Yeah. Now,
and
now if he can just win, get past Mahomes.
Yep.
There, and I think for him it's going to happen.
Oh, me too. Well, let's do one other contract, 2Ks, and then we'll move on to some baseball stuff. This is a baseball contract, but this is from Jeff Passan. Breaking outfielder Lawrence Butler and the A's are in an agreement on a 7-year, $66.5 million contract extension with one club option. Sources tell ESPN. Butler, 24, broke out as a rookie last year and is seen as a fundamental player for the A's moving forward. Now, 2Ks, the reason I grabbed this was because of the fact that not only this is kind of unprecedented for the A's to do, the A's don't spend money.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of us that thought that Brett Rooker or Lawrence Butler would be traded last year during the trade deadline. Neither one were. They became the laughing stock of baseball 2 years ago with their shitty-ass record. And then this year, they're having to play in Sacramento, even though they're trying to build a stadium in Las Vegas. Where are we playing? And if you're an A's fan, you got to be stoked because you got Brett Rooker extended. Now you have kind of the next dude, especially the next dude on your team, Lawrence Butler, extended. So to me, it's the A's trying to get back good PR, but yet still take care of their guys because, like we're talking about with Cleveland, no one wants to. There's not a free agent unless you overpay them substantially is going to go play for Cleveland. Yeah. You're not going to get free agents going to Oakland, Sacramento, Las Vegas, whatever you want to call them, to play for the A's unless you substantially overpay them. And I think for 7 years, 66.5 is cheap as hell.
Yeah, it's a very good contract. And we've seen other organizations that have started to do this. The Braves, for the first one I think of, was with the way that they handled Acuna in the beginning and how they just went and paid him and got out in front of it before you wait too long, and then you're going to be paying him, big money. And they did the same thing with Albies. They, they got out in front of it. And so for this, I think it's very smart. With what Oakland has done, in years past is they wait and they wait, they don't do anything like this, and then that player goes off for them, and then when it comes down to having to bring him back, they don't want to spend that money, so then they would just watch their franchise player, go elsewhere and do it. I mean, we watched it with
Ohtani.
With who's the third baseman there that they I can't believe I can't think of him right now.
With the Giants now, right?
Yeah. But went off for him, and then when it came down to it, they couldn't pay him, and he goes elsewhere. And then you think of Olsen with the break, Chapman. But before that, Donaldson. Donaldson, they can't pay him, he leaves. Chapman, they can't pay him, they don't want to pay that amount of money, he leaves. Olsen, they don't, they bring him up throughout the whole organization.
At least they traded him to the Braves.
Yes.
Yeah. So at least they got.
But they never want to get themselves in these big contracts, and so to do this now, maybe it's a new era for A's baseball where let's be a little bit smarter, and when you find these up and coming players that are coming through, let's take care of business and sign them at a very franchise friendly deal, but also good for them.
Yeah,
and do it real early. I mean, we saw what he did last year in his rookie season, and this is a kid that we want in our organization for a long time. And
that's why you draft kids like this, right? Is to keep them in the org. It's not just groom trading prospects.
It has to get so old for the fan bases, but even for everybody involved in the organization, to keep on bringing these players up and putting all the time into them and developing them, and then watching them go elsewhere and have a career. Yeah.
Well, speaking of someone who's not raking 2Ks, this is from George Castillo over on Twitter. Garrett Cole is indeed undergoing tests on his right elbow, a source confirmed. It's been nearly a year since Cole was shut down last spring training with an elbow injury. He's pitched 6 innings and 2 starts this spring. To me, 2Ks, this is a big deal because obviously the Yankees did not. I'm not saying they let Soto walk because they were just as aggressive as any other team about re-signing him, and rightfully so. But they end up losing him. So you have Aaron Judge and a bunch of Joey fucksticks. Is basically what this team is comprised of. Hill last year, stud starter. He's hurt now. So now your main guy, aside from Aaron Judge, is out. Now I did a little bit of digging and no one is sure if this is Tommy John or not. I think what they're going to do is wait to see if it heals or at least gets better, so shows some sort of progress before they give that diagnosis. But worst case scenario, he's out for this whole year. So you have Johnny Fucksticks and Aaron Judge, where you do lose Soto, but your main thing is, okay, we'll sign Paul Goldschmidt. Cool. Mm-hmm. He's old. He sucked last year. Mm-hmm. We'll trade for Cody Bellinger. Cool. He's not 2019 Cody Bellinger. So it's like they filled holes, but dudes that almost like no one else wanted, and paid them rather well. So it's going to be interesting to see where that goes because I honestly think that this Yankee team is in. It's going to be a long season for Yankee fans. But one fan base that should be excited 2Ks is Kansas City Royals. This is from our boy Jared Carabas. I'm buying lots and lots of Jack Caglione stock now.
Yeah, me too.
This kid is he what was he, 3rd or 4th, 5th pick last year in the draft? Top 10 pick in the draft. And is just absolutely destroying baseballs right now. This kid, I mean, if you could have handpicked a guy from last year's draft to go alongside with Bobby Witt Jr., this is the guy.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people don't remember, 2Ks, is this kid can pitch too.
Yeah.
Do I think he's going to pitch in the bigs? No. But is he going to play a very good first base? Now, Royals have a pretty good first baseman right now. So is he gonna break camp with the team? I don't know. But he is making a very, 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 very good impact on a lot of fans. And it's the hype that Kansas City needs because Kansas City's pitching staff is legit. Bobby Witt Jr., arguably one of the best players in baseball. Who else are you going to put around him to help go forward? Because they've locked him up for quite a few years now. And it just seems like this is one of those guys that you want.
Yep.
Big dude, long flowing hair, locks, gorgeous man. And hits the baseball very, 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 very far. And I believe this is his 3rd home run of the year.
You know, it kind of reminds me of like that World Series Royals team where you have all these young up-and-coming kids that are coming up at the same time. And then all of a sudden they go and I'm not saying it's now time right now because there's obviously, you know, Bobby Witt is there and some of the other one, you know, the Vinny, the first baseman, you know, he's there. But, you know, I don't think that we'll see Caglione maybe a little bit this year. I don't think we'll see him at the beginning of the season. They just simply can get him the at-bats that he needs to get in the minors to start with. Now, depending on how things go there. But in the future, you know, he's obviously close. And so that's what we saw with that Royals team that won the World Series not that long ago was all these young kids came up at the same time and they kind of struck lightning in a bottle, but then they went and hit free agency and brought the guys in that they needed. You know, they brought the pitcher in that they needed. They brought some veterans in.
Had the best bullpen in the history of baseball at that time.
Had the bullpen to do it, and then they go on and win a World Series. And you know, so that they're doing everything right, and I think that they're a team that is going to be very, very scary for, you know, here really, really soon.
Yeah, which for you Tigers fans is not good news.
No, not good. But the thing is, it's to me it's when you start talking about divisions and all throughout baseball, like you can You talk about, especially the NL West, where you have teams that have spent buco's amount of money. You talk about the AL East, where you have teams that have spent a lot of money. When you talk about the AL Central right now,
They're homegrown,
they are homegrown teams, and so like we can
except for
sit
the
here
White Sox.
and go on and on about what the Royals are doing and say that this is bad for other teams in Central. The Tigers are doing it also. The Tigers are loaded with talent coming up, and Cleveland is not far behind them either. Cleveland is the team right now that I think is the best all-around team that's ready to go right now. I think Cleveland is that team. But
Interesting.
when you start talking about what these teams have as far as young talent that we haven't even seen yet, and that could change the whole dynamic of the way that division plays out this year, the Tigers and the Royals are a team they're very exciting to think about what they can do here.
Absolutely. And you know what, 2Ks? That is the perfect segue into our player awards. Way too early player awards, Turbo and 2Ks 2025 style. Let's start out with the easiest one, Cy Young. To me, both these guys are slam dunks. And if you're, let's see here, awards, this is on FanDuel. And they are both the odds-on favorites. And you would be absolutely silly to say that Skubal and Skeens are not the two top front runners, preseason front runners for this award. I mean, you have arguably the best righty-lefty combo in all of baseball. I do think if he stays healthy, Garrett Crochet will challenge Tarik Skubal in the AL.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what a lot of people, the main guy that a lot of people have forgotten about is Jacob deGrom. We haven't seen him pitch for like 2 years. So what is he going to look like? If he's anything close to vintage Jacob deGrom, he's going to give Skubal a run for his money. Mm-hmm. So it's not like Skubal's going to run away with this by any means. But if you flip to the NL side, this is where I think Skeens is head and shoulders above any other guy in the NL. He's at plus 200 2Ks. The next closest guy is plus 6, Zach Wheeler. Then it goes to Blake Snell at plus 1,000. Corbin Burns plus 1,500. Chris Sale plus 1,700. So this is Skeens to lose, basically. So are you riding with the Skubal Skeens pick here?
No.
I'm
riding with Skubal again. I think kind of the opposite. I think in the American League, I think Skubal, and I think Skubal by a long shot there.
You think so?
Yeah. Yep. And I think on the other end with Skeens, I think there's 3 or 4 guys just in that page right there that could possibly, like, I mean, just in recent years, what we've seen from Blake Snell.
The only thing that scares me with Snell is he starts out so slow. I mean, granted, once you get into August and September, he's full Blake Snell.
Yeah.
But the slow start, I think, could very well hinder him in this race. Which, dude, Skeens added 2 more pitches.
Yeah.
That's fucking retarded.
I think Skeens is incredible, and I think is going to be the best pitcher in baseball if he's not already. But this is year 2. He hasn't done this now. The track record is not long. I like pitchers that Skubal's done this shit now for 5-6 years. Snell has done this for 5 or 6 years. I still look at Corbin Burns as, he's got to be right there in the conversation because of what he has done and the longevity of for how long he's done this. Chris Sale was fucking amazing last season. And
Burns is out of the AL East now.
Yeah.
Which could be a huge 100%.
Deal. And Chris Sale with the season that he had last year, like fucking incredible season. Paul Skeens is a stud, and he is going to strike out a lot of batters. Is Paul Skeens going to be able to pitch deep into ball games? Because he didn't do a great job of that last season for a lot of it, because he does have such good swing and miss stuff.
Yeah.
That the pitch counts go up. Is Paul Skeens going to get run support that some of these other pitches are going to get? Fuck no, they're not.
That's the key right there.
They're not going to do it, and that's when you look back last season to like Skubal's season. and how good Skubal was. Skubal didn't get any run support.
No.
But the way Skubal was able to change, because he's a swing and miss pitcher also, but he changed the way that he pitched and pitching to more contact, being okay with guys putting the ball in play, and making sure that he was available to throw 7-8 innings, to where Skeens was throwing a lot of games where he's going 5 innings. Well, then that's 4 innings now that your bullpen has to figure it out, or you have to piece it together, because both of them are on teams that just aren't going to put up a lot of runs, like other teams, like the Dodgers, like the Phillies, like the Braves.
Sure.
That's one thing I do like about Crochet here, was I think Boston's going to put up a lot of runs. The only thing I don't have, my thing with Crochet that I want to see is how long can he do it, because he hasn't really held up throughout his career. The White Sox were very, very careful with him.
This is his second big league season.
He hasn't pitched meaningful baseball in his entire career, really.
No.
So that's where, I want to see him, because there's going to be a lot of meaningful games that he has to pitch in a very, very loaded division, especially offenses in that division that he has.
And he's now the ace.
Yes, and he's going to have to work through that.
By far the ace for the Red Sox.
So I'm going Skubal here, and I think I'm gonna go sleeper here.
Sleeper.
I'm going Yamamoto. The Dodgers here.
Plus 2,000.
His shit is just filthy.
I didn't see enough of him last year.
No.
And then once they got in the playoffs, they barely used him. So that's where I'm curious to see. And they had, like I was telling you before the show started, they have 2 starting rotations.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers do. In essence, 2 starting rotations.
And I know that I just talked about, like, I like the guys that have been there and done that. And I do. And Yamamoto has not done that. But he's got...
Not stateside.
He's got extreme swing and miss stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to he's going to pitch in a lot of very relaxed situations, because his team's going to score a shit ton of runs for him, and he's just going to have to go out there and just ball and pitch how he wants and pitch to miss bats. It's not like they have to be really, really worried about him going deep into games.
No.
So he can throw 6-7 innings and strike out 9-10 batters in games. He's going to be right up there in the conversation with strikeout numbers. And when it comes down to, like, I just think that at the end of the day, Paul Skeens is probably going to have more strikeouts than him, just because Paul Skeens is he's
an alien.
He's a freak. But when it comes to the wins and losses, I think Yamamoto is going to is a pitcher that can flirt with 20 wins, and I think Skeens is going to have a hard time getting to 12, 13 wins
with 30 starts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's go to, what's the next one here? Let's save the MVPs for last here. Let's go AL Rookie of the Year. AL Rookie of the Year. I'm going Homer on this one. Just because they don't have Rookie of the Year on here.
I have it right here.
You have it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Kristen Campbell. And the only reason I'm picking him over Roman Anthony is because I think he's going to play more games.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like he's going to be breaking camp with the big league squad, so he's going to have more of a chance to make an impact. But if somehow Roman Anthony does make it through, and if we're just talking about spring training numbers, Marcelo Meyer out of the big 3 has the best numbers out of all 3 of them. And the only way he's going to make it on the squad and play meaningful innings this year is if Story goes down. And the way Story's swinging the bat right now, no one in Boston wants him to go down at all. So that's why I'm saying Kristen Campbell is going to be the AL Rookie of the Year. Or our boy Caglione, if he's able to come up. But like I said, that's a complete flyer, because I really don't see him. He might be a September call-up this year. But
5,000 right now.
Who is?
Caglione.
Is he? Hey,
so is Mayer.
Sprinkle a little bit on both of them. Never know. Who's leading that 2Ks?
Dominguez. AL
him.
Plus 300.
Dude's the worst fielding player in all of the Major League Baseball right now.
Yeah.
I don't care how well you hit. You and I were talking. I was talking to the guys at lunch today, or maybe it was you last night, about Manny.
Mm-hmm.
You can be goofy and be an all right fielder.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to hit 40 home runs and 120 RBIs and bat 330. Dominguez is not doing any of that.
Yep.
And realistically, if you're a Yankee fan, Dominguez was supposed to be up 2 years ago, and he's been up, but really hasn't. September he's up, and I mean he's just not it.
Yeah.
He's just not it.
No, I agree. That another one, number 2 with plus 500 is Tigers, Jackson Jobe.
I love him.
I do too. I do too. He kind of he's another one of those guys where I think the Tigers are going to be very, very careful with him.
Sure.
And so that's why I don't necessarily like him to be a rookie of the year. I kind of like to lean on rookie of the year as long as if it's like a Paul Skeens situation where the pitcher is just a complete fucking animal. Also a pitcher that pitched in college. Jackson Jobe came straight out of high school, so they're going to be very careful with him. Doesn't have hasn't pitched in near the amount of big games that Skeens has throughout his career yet to this point. I'm going Kobe Mayo here though.
I like that too.
Called him up last season. It did not go as planned. Can say the same thing about Jackson Holiday. When Baltimore called up Jackson Holiday, it didn't really go as planned.
Right.
And then he ended up getting sent back down. Then they called him back up later in the season, and things started to click a little bit more for him. Kobe Mayo gets called up at the same time that they called Holiday up the second go around last season. Mayo did not go very well for him down the stretch there. Really, really struggled, doing a lot of swinging and missing. I think that those situations, though, are wake-up calls for guys.
Yeah.
Of, all right, we know that the potential's there. We know that we're really, really good, going to be very good players in the future. It didn't work out. This is what we have to work on. I still have, there's still a lot to go on. I would imagine that there's probably a lot of work done this offseason for him. And then turning it to this season, he's going to be the guy. Every season that he's had the last 2 years, it's been, well, I might get my shot. I might get called up. I might have an opportunity. Well, going into this offseason and with the season here approaching here fast, he is a guy. He knows that he's going to be a guy. He knows that he's going to be a starter. I think you see a whole different version of him, and I think we see something similar to him in like what we saw with Gunnar Henderson when he was, was handed the reins and allowed to go. So that lineup is going to be a very, very fun one to see how it goes throughout the season because there's so much young talent that we just haven't seen, a whole lot of it. And that kid like Gunnar Henderson is kind of the proven vet there.
Yeah.
With what they have around him. So it's going to be fun to see these kids go. I think they're going to be a very good team. They're going to score a lot of runs, and I think Kobe Mayo is going to play a big factor in that.
I love it. What about the NL? And I absolutely hate when they put these Japanese players in the Rookie of the Year. They've been playing professional baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they're rookies to the MLB, but not professional baseball.
Yeah.
So in my eyes, you can take Sasaki and throw him right out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go Dylan Cruz here.
Yeah, he seems like probably the definitely the safest bet.
Yeah. But if you're going on just name alone, Bubba Chandler.
Yeah,
love
Bubba
it.
Chandler is a sweet name.
Love
sweet
it.
Name. Yeah.
Plus 850.
Yeah.
Love me some Bubba.
This one is a little bit. I mean,
Jordan Lawler could have something to say about it.
That's who I was looking at there. I think putting him in there, he's another, similar way as far as the way that he plays the game to Corbin Carroll, as far as being somebody that can run on the bases and Corbin Carroll, Jesus, when he came up, kind of took the world by storm as far as the all around player that he was.
The reason they made it to the World Series.
Yeah, and so I think the Diamondbacks are hoping that they kind of see something similar to that this season.
And with Corbin Burns in the mix too.
Yeah, that I really like. But if I'm betting on this, I think I'm going Dylan Cruz here. Dylan Cruz, similar to his Skeens, his college teammate, watching them throughout that World Series. Dylan Cruz was just that fucking workhorse outfielder, do it all,
Spark plug.
5-tool player, yes, and so I just think he's the safest bet to go on this one, where he's going to be an everyday guy, and he's just a good all around baseball player. Does everything well. And
he's playing for a team that will allow him to get a lot of playing time.
Yep.
Work out the bugs. This Nats team is not good.
Yep.
It's not good at all. So he's going to get plenty of playing time. So let's switch to Manager of the Year 2Ks in the American League. Who do you got? Dan Wilson for Seattle leads is the odds-on favorite here.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I'm actually looking at these odds, and I am blown away.
Yeah.
Seattle's terrible. Pitching staff, great. Offense, terrible.
Offense is terrible. Yeah, I mean I guess is some of these really
Kevin Cash,
kind of
the Rays stink.
shocking to me.
And if Kevin Cash makes this Tampa Bay Rays team a playoff team, deserves 100%.
Yeah, I mean,
Coach of the year.
I'm biased on this one, but AJ Hinch is the best manager in baseball, and I will argue with anybody on that one. What he is able to do with, I mean, like look at what he did last year with that Tigers team. That
Plus
is
900.
absolutely fucking terrible, and he's plus 900. The thing is, because of what happened, he was the manager when all that shit went south there in Houston with the banging on trash cans, and for that reason alone, I don't think that he will ever be given a fair chance when it comes to this award. I think things like that hold.
As long as he's winning World Series, I really don't think he cares about managing.
No, he doesn't give a fuck. No. But I mean, as far as all around manager, I think he's the best.
100%.
If I'm betting on this though and going,
I got to go Alex Cora.
I'm going Alex Cora.
Yeah,
I was gonna say the same
this
thing.
Boston team, as we sit today, March 9th, this team's primed to go.
Mm-hmm.
You just look at some of these other teams. Kevin Cash, if he gets this Rays team to the playoffs, yes, by all means, deserves manager of the year.
Mm-hmm.
That team's terrible. Minnesota, how good are they? I don't know. Toronto stinks. Ron Washington for the Angels, terrible. AJ Hinch for the Tigers, love that. Mark Kotsay for the Athletics, terrible. Quattro for the Royals, I could see that. Bruce Bochy for the Rangers, could see that. Aaron Boone, if he makes a deep run into the playoffs, I could see it with this squad, yes. But some of those guys mixing the top have no business being there.
Yeah,
none.
This one is kind of shocking to me. It's very shocking to me to see how low Hinch is on there.
Grab Hinch or Cora where they're at right now, because it's never going to be a better deal.
Yeah,
never.
I agree.
I'm blown away at that. Well, let's look at the National League here, 2Ks. And Francona in Cincinnati leads this one. Craig Counsell, Shelton, Dave Roberts, and Francona's my guy here. This is going to be a little prelude into our actual postseason picks. I think Cincinnati is going to make some noise this year, especially in that division.
Yeah.
The Cubs are kind of retooled.
Yeah,
great pitching
that's
staff.
What I'm kind of looking at too. Is I think the Craig Counsell one is kind of intriguing to me. Like,
he's still the highest paid.
Yeah, and there's he was awfully good, and then had some seasons that didn't go as planned. And now going with the Cubs. I don't think last year really went as planned for him.
They couldn't hit.
Yeah,
they were terrible.
They have brought in. I love the Kyle Tucker
rental.
Yeah,
because they're not going to re-sign.
Yeah, the Cubs are set up. In my opinion, they're trying to win right now.
They have to.
I think Counsell's a very good manager. It's so fucking hard to go away from Dave Roberts here. Like, I mean, what? What's he have to really do? I mean, just sit there and
in the voters' eyes, he's been there, done that.
Yeah.
Usually manager of the year, it's like they've overcome something or taking a shitty team into relevance.
That team that's going to get hot.
Yeah. That's why I'm leaning towards Francona on this one. Yeah. That and Tito is historically one of the best managers in baseball.
Well, he's so good as far as running a pitching staff, and that's something that Cincinnati needs help with, because they have dudes that up and down their lineup. It's a matter of can they pitch it well enough to win, and can their bullpen do something? And that's where Francona, I think, is arguably one of the best managers of all time as far as operating a pitching staff and knowing how to get through 9 innings of ball games and wins and get wins out of them. So, man, this one's tough to me. It's such a stupid fucking award too. Like, I don't really give a shit about it. Like,
it's just as stupid as the next one we're going to talk about.
I guess if I'm just gonna,
which you are a betting man, 2Ks.
I am. I will say that I have not put any bets in on managers of the year.
No,
but I guess if I'm gonna pick one here, I'll go Craig Counsell. I think the Cubs are set to have a pretty good season this year.
And I'm very high on the Cubs as well. I mean, they are it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Kyle Tucker. I have a very good feeling they're not going to be shelling out the 450, 500 mil. It's going to take them to keep him there. But while you got him, you might as well win a few ball games.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at let's do NL Comeback Player of the Year 2Ks. I'm not even going to put the drop down on here. I'm going to tell you who. I've got two guys I'm looking at, both from the same team. I got Acuna and Strider. So let's see where the Acuna's number 1, Spencer Strider's number 3. Sandy Alcantara, who's looked great in spring so far, is number 2. Where are you leaning on this award 2Ks?
I'm going Acuna for sure.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah, he's
looked fantastic this spring.
Yeah, he is. He could fucking win the MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, like, and it's not gonna.
Can you win the MVP and Comeback Player of the Year in the same?
Yeah, like that would not shock me one bit. So I think that one is.
I mean,
is very easy.
You have arguably one of the most electric players in the league. Goes down last year. The Braves have, I mean, rightfully so. They had a whole triage of injured players. So yes, they're not going to be as impactful as they want to be, and ultimately, for lack of better terms, sucked last year. Now the one guy on that Braves team is Austin Riley. I want to see how he does this year, because this should be a breakout year for him, especially with everyone healthy. It seemed like he was the only guy around that anyone actually knew their name during that whole. But they did lose Max Fried, so we shall see where that which getting back Spencer Strider is going to be huge for that team.
Oh yeah,
AL Comeback Player of the Year. I've got Trevor Story on this one. And I've got Story, and I'm looking at Jacob deGrom, just because the only reason I'm not taking deGrom here, and you could say the same thing about Story, is we really haven't seen him in the last 2 years. And I think that's more impactful for a pitcher rather than a position player, so that's why I'm leaning Story. Mike Trout is the one I want to win this hands down. Seems
like we're
doing it every year.
Yeah, like it used to be where we were picking him for the MVP every season, and now unfortunately we're
Comeback Player of the Year. Yeah.
Another one, and I'm not picking him in this, but one that I would love to see is Bo Bichette.
Yeah. Especially in a contract year.
Yeah. I like he's got everything going for him now. Like if he can have that big season, this is where has his opportunity to go into this next offseason and get paid, and test that free agent market, and the ball's in his court. Like it's all on him now. So I would love to see him. I would love to see him get it. Yeah, he does have a fresh cut, and I gotta say it's
looks clean.
I had a double take because I was like, who the fuck is that? Yeah,
it's clean.
But I'm going Mike Trout here again. I know I went Mike Trout on this last year. I'm going with him again this year, though. I'm hoping if he stays healthy and plays, he's gonna win this. I mean, like it's just he's that good that
baseball needs him.
He's not gonna play. He's not if he's out. He just has to be available, and as long as he's available, he's going to be in the conversation for a possible MVP. Yes. That's how good he is. He's similar to to what I think about Acuna. Now Acuna is quite a bit younger, and hasn't had as many injuries, but he's coming off a major injury. So
pretty close.
Yeah.
And his have all been like major, like knees, which is last I checked, you only have 2.
Yeah.
So, well, 2Ks. Let's get down to the last award we're handing out tonight: the AL and NL MVP. And again, I made my choices prior to looking at this, and let's start with the AL since that one's on top. Who do you got?
Bobby Witt.
Me too.
Bobby Witt. He's the best all-around player in the American League. I know that Aaron Judge, as far as the power numbers, what he can do, but he doesn't have Soto anymore. And that, to me, you take Soto out of that lineup, Judge is still going to hit a lot of home runs, and he's still going to have a lot of RBIs, but he's not going to have those numbers that he had last year. No. And there's a very, very good case that Bobby Witt should have been the MVP last season.
Yes.
With all around what he does. Bobby Witt is the most valuable player to his team, in my opinion, in all of baseball, not just the American League.
NL. Shohei leads the way here, rightfully so, followed by the Soto. Now in the NL with the Mets. Tatis, Mookie, Bryce, and Kyle Tucker round out the top 6. I'm going Bryce Harper here. I think something smells like a Bryce Harper breakout year here. Last year was kind of a mundane, kind of a normal everyday Bryce Harper year.
Mhm.
I think there's something brewing in Philly that he's just going to explode. And especially at the price of plus 1,400, you're getting a lot for your money.
Sure.
Now, is it going to be a lot to overtake Ohtani? Absolutely.
Mhm.
I mean, look at what he did last year. And what's to say he doesn't do that or better this year? Who knows? But like I said, there's something special going on in Philly, and I think he's the driving force behind that.
Sure.
Quietly looking at Tatis as well.
Well, what he did last season in the postseason.
Yes.
If we get anything close to that, yeah, I mean,
And does he finish the year as a Padre?
Mhm.
For whatever reason, San Diego is kind of in like this sell-off mode. I guess their payroll's too high for what they want. Tatis is on it was a very big deal when he signed it, but nowadays contracts is very team friendly.
Mhm.
So is that something we're going to have to talk about? When it comes closer to the trade deadline, where's Tatis going? Boston, where's Tatis going? But yeah, give me Bryce Harper on this one. Are you riding Ohtani with this, or are you going to be?
Nope, I'm going Juan Soto here.
Okay.
I think, I think this is the perfect situation for him. Is going into this Mets, he's going to have a ton of protection throughout that lineup around him now.
Not just Judge. Yeah.
Whether you want him to be the protector,
Mhm.
he's going to be protecting a lot of those guys in that lineup also. But I think for a guy like Juan Soto, the biggest thing in my opinion is for him to get out of that. I don't think he enjoyed that Yankee
I don't think so either.
lifestyle of it's business
Yeah.
there. It's a different aura around around that ballpark, and the way that there's so much history there,
Mhm.
and just the way that I think you have to be 100% all business baseball to really make it work. The Derek Jeters of the world,
Mhm.
that are, it's a grind every single day. Baseball, baseball, baseball. Not so much the spotlight and everything.
Yeah.
It's more so like we just win. We're pro. You're almost pro. They try to program guys there
Yeah.
into what they want. And so taking Soto and allowing him to go stay in the same city and just go to a team that is more relaxed. I mean,
Have some fun with
that
Lindor.
team, when they got hot last year at the end of the season, they
Yeah.
were having fun. They were, and that to me reminds me of Juan Soto when he was in Washington.
Yes.
And he was coming up with that. That team just was having fun, and it was. I think that the Mets are a very, very sleeper dark horse team to win it all this season. I think
Mhm.
that they're that good. Probably shouldn't consider them a dark horse because of the talent that they do have. But when you have a team like the Dodgers, to me, every other team in baseball is a dark horse when you have the Dodgers lineup. But I think that Juan Soto is just going to put up huge fucking numbers.
Mets are plus 1,100 to win the World Series.
Yeah.
Behind the Phillies, Yankees, Braves, and Dodgers.
Yeah. So everybody's basically a dark horse because of what the Dodgers.
Yeah,
the Dodgers
exactly,
are.
exactly.
Yeah, but I think Soto is just he's just going to go. I think this is the best season of his career happens this year. He just got.
He has to be
just
more
got
comfortable knowing he just got paid.
fucking
He's going to
paid.
be
Yep.
here for a long
Yep.
time.
Yep.
His family's going to have their suite or whatever accommodations
Yep.
that was negotiated into the contract. And you're right. He put him right behind Lindor,
Mhm.
right in front of Alonso,
Yeah,
or
I mean,
whoever bats third.
You might bat him. You might, in my opinion, I think you bat him third. I think you keep the Vientos
Yeah.
in the 2 spot and bat him third and have Alonso behind him.
Mhm.
And you kind of look back at like all those Tigers years where you slotted Miggy in the 3rd spot and protected him with legit batter at 2 and a legit batter at 4 or 5.
Mhm.
You have to pitch to him. You
Yeah.
can't pitch around him anymore at this point. And that's where I understand the Yankees style, how they had him batting second, and obviously, because they wanted basically he has such a good eye and he doesn't swing and he's on base all the time, and then you put Aaron Judge behind him who
Mhm.
just hits a lot of home runs. So you have to pitch Aaron Judge because Soto's on base all the time, so
Yeah.
there's not just an open base to walk him all the time. So I understand what they were doing there with it. But I just think when you start thinking of putting an entire lineup together, I think that this Mets lineup is deeper than what the Yankees
100%.
lineup was last season. And now you can put him where I think he belongs, and I think a hitter like that belongs in the 3 spot.
I if If you're the Mets, you have the luxury of putting him at 9 if you really want to. Is he going to be happy? No, but he's going to be the most productive 9-hole hitter
Right.
in the league. Well, let's stay in that NL East 2Ks, and let's look at the NL East winners. Now, 2K crew, we're going to give you our divisional winners and our 3 wild card spots. So, now, mind you, I gave you the Mets were plus 1,100 to win the World Series. So they're sitting third in the AL East as far as FanDuel is concerned, behind the Braves and the Phillies. So 2Ks, are you taking your Mets to win the NL East?
Yes.
Let's
Yep.
see.
And I like the Phillies a lot here too. I think the Phillies
I do
are
too.
a wild card team. You know, and honestly, I don't think it really fucking matters, you know, on this one. I think both the Mets and the Phillies are playoff teams regardless of what happens. I just think that the Mets are the better all-around team at this point, and I think the Mets win this division.
I got the Phillies just because I need to see this Braves team healthy
Mhm.
before I can sign off on them.
Mhm.
Yes, they lost Max Fried in free agency. They really didn't do a whole lot in free agency. The Jerkson Profar was like their big signing. Love that signing. They probably have the best defensive outfield in baseball.
Mhm.
Love it. It was a very underrated signing. But the Phillies pitching staff and, like I said, Bryce Harper is going to go off this year. So if I'm going to pump him for MVP, I have to take the Phillies here to win the the NL East. Let's see here. NL West. Are we both Dodgers here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
I
don't
don't
have to
even
worry
think
about
there's
that one.
any discussion to be made there.
And NL Central. Your Cubbies 2Ks leading the odds here, followed by the Brewers, Reds, Cardinals, and Pirates. Now, if you're giving me this lineup, I'm taking the Pirates to finish above the Cardinals all day, every day. That Cardinals team is terrible. In where St. Louis is on the downslope, I think Pittsburgh's on the upslope with the talent they have.
Sure.
Starting pitching wise, Pittsburgh has maybe the best starting pitching out of this whole division. In Skeens and Jones, followed by, kind of some slapdicks, but I'm taking the Reds to win the division here. I'm taking the Reds. They're plus 490, whereas the Cubs are minus 105. Brewers plus 290. Now, we were sitting here at this very desk last year, and I believe C Hut was sitting right where you are. You were sitting over there. And out of your mouth comes, I don't know who to take, but it seems like the Brewers always win this division, and I always pick against them. So are you sticking with the Brewers, or are you taking one of the other? Because this Cubs team's legit.
Yeah, and I just said that I was picking counsel for manager of the year. So you would think like I'm going Cubs here, but I'm not. I think the Cubs are a playoff team. I think the Cubs, are the other wild card team in this, but I'm not fucking picking against the Brewers. I'm not doing it. I have done it 3 years in a row, and they just always win this. So sorry, Brewers fans, but I'm picking them, and that means that
this will be the year
that they're not going to win it, and the Cubs
totally
are gonna win
stuck.
it.
Yeah.
But I'm picking them. Yeah.
All right. 2K's learning from his mistake. So let's go NL wild card here. I'll give you my 3, and then I'll let you give your 3. I've got Braves, Cubs, Padres. I have the Mets not even getting into this.
Oh, wow.
And from my notes, I've switched Phillies and Braves on this one. So yeah, I've got Braves, Cubs, Padres. And like I said, I can't pick the Braves to win that division unless I see them healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, as we sit here, March 9th, I got Philly winning that instead of the Braves.
I'm going Phillies, Cubs, Braves.
Okay, so essentially the same teams,
Yep.
just different order. I got it. I can live with that. Let's go AL East. I got my Red Sox, which are plus 300 behind the Orioles and the Yankees. And then Tampa's plus 750 and Toronto is plus 1100. Again, if I'm If there was a way to bet Toronto to have a better record than Tampa, I would take that right now, because Tampa's terrible. At least Toronto has actual players that we know their name. But with Kevin Cash, you never know. But I think this year is even a challenge that he can't even overcome. So give me my Red Sox in this one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Red Sox here too. I have Baltimore. I think that they have a great lineup. Who's going to pitch it for them? You know,
Exactly.
you're already seeing a Rodriguez injury.
Yep.
You know, you don't have Corbin Burns there anymore. You know, who's going to be that guy that can pitch it for him? I think Boston's got the better pitching rotation than both them and the Yankees.
Yes.
At this point,
Especially Garrett Cole down.
Garrett Cole down. The Yankees
And
did
Gill.
get better, especially in the back end of their bullpen in the offseason. So I do like that part about it. But you take Juan Soto out of that offense, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That offense is not anywhere close to what they were last year.
Big shocker, Stanton's hurt already.
Yeah.
So,
who
big shocker.
saw that one coming. No, I think Boston is the best all-around team in this division. It's what shocks me that they're third on this right now. Which, if I'm a Boston fan, I'm happy.
Buying
like
that plus 300.
I like
all
it,
day.
and they're the best all-around team. And the other thing that Boston has going for them is they have some young kids up there that I think a lot of Boston fans are very excited to see. And
a lot of baseball fans are going to learn their name really quick.
Yep.
Really quick. This is what for a Red Sox fan, this is the climax that we've been hoping for the last 3 years. So this is do or die time, and I love it. I love it. Give me my Red Sox there. AL Central. I'm taking your Tigers, 2Ks. I'm taking your Tigers very hard in this division. However,
this one's such a
if you want the White Sox to win this, they're only plus 25,000.
It's almost worth just throwing
a buck on it. Yeah.
And just seeing what happens. I mean, it does. I think it is kind
of. And in April, they're mathematically eliminated from winning the division. Sorry, Christian.
It is kind of. I think actually I might do that. But no, the way the other 4 teams line up in this, I think it's so hard to try to make a pick on this because these 4 teams can finish in any order, and none of it would surprise me. I think it's so close.
If you rewind 2 years ago, we're talking about the Central and both AL and NL being absolute garbage. Now you have the odds-on favorite being the Twins at plus 210, Tigers plus 250, Royals plus 280, and the Guards plus 310. That's the closest, and then again, White Sox plus 25,000. But that is the closest grouping I think I've ever seen for a divisional race. Usually it's 1 or 2 teams. Now, for instance, let's go back to the AL East. Yankees plus 150, Baltimore plus 270, Red Sox plus 300, Tampa plus 750, Blue Jays plus 1,100. Close at the top, widens out before you get. Now, granted, let's just take the White Sox out of this conversation because that's throwing off my numbers here. There's only 100 plus 100 difference from first to fourth. So we went from an absolute garbage division. Now, mind you, last year we saw 3 of these teams in the postseason, and almost 4, legitimately almost 4. So I think in this division is, everyone talks about, the AL East is going to beat up on each other. No, this fucking division is. This division, and
division's deeper than
I'm going to call it right now. Whoever wins this division has the best record against the White Sox. Because they all play the White Sox the same amount of times.
Yeah.
And the amount of games between the Twins and the Guardians, let's say it sticks like this for the whole year. It might be 2 games.
Yeah.
So a couple slip-ups against a shitty White Sox team is going to cost your team a trip to the playoffs. So the winner of this division has the best record against the White Sox, hands down. Because those are games you have to win. Those are JV versus varsity games that you have to win. And if you're one of these AL Central teams, you want to go perfect against the White Sox. Because if they're anything like last year, it's not going to be too difficult to go perfect against the White Sox. Let's wrap up with the AL West 2Ks. This one's interesting. Now, there's 2 teams here that are completely, I think we can just throw them out. And the Angels and the A's. I don't think either one of us are going to pick them. Even with a healthy Mike Trout, The A's are not. The Angels are not winning this division. Astros, Rangers, Mariners plus 180, plus 190, plus 200. Again, we talked about the division, the Central. The differences with the Angels compared to the Guardians. The Angels are plus 2100, where the Guards are plus 310. And I'm taking the Rangers in this division with a resurgent DeGrom. I'm not saying he's Cy Young DeGrom, but he's damn good. He's not vintage DeGrom, but he's one notch below that, which is still a number one starter for 99% of the teams here. I think the Astros have lost too much. They've traded away too much. And the Mariners have zero offense. Probably, arguably one of the best rotations in baseball, but they can't hit. Now, J-Rod, if he has a bounce back year, could change that narrative 100%. But Texas has a better all-around offense. It does not have the starters that the Mariners do, but give me, again, teams that have been there, teams that have done it. Give me the Rangers. And I know it's totally contradictory about the Astros.
Yeah.
But when you're moving Jose Altuve to left field and no Kyle Tucker, so you have Altuve and what's the other dude? Drawing a blank.
Jordan.
Yeah, Alvarez. Yep. Who else is there? Who else? I have no idea. And now Altuve is somehow playing left field. So give me the Rangers just because I think DeGrom has a very good bounce back season.
Yeah, I'm going Rangers here also. I think that they don't have quite the pitching staff that Seattle has. Seattle definitely has the best pitching staff in that division, but like we said, Seattle can't hit. Their offense was just awful last season.
Yep.
I think Texas's offense is going to be probably the best in this division. I think this is probably the weakest division in all of baseball.
I agree.
We'll say that.
I agree.
But yeah, I'm going Texas here. I think Texas runs away with this division, and I give it away right now. I don't think any wild cards come from this division.
No, I think this is the first time in a long time the Astros do not make the playoffs.
Yep, I agree.
And speaking of wild card 2Ks, who do you have for your AL wild card?
So
shit.
The Tigers. I have the Tigers winning the Central this year, which I think that way that those were on ranked down there was just complete disrespect because you have Minnesota as the leaders in the clubhouse and they're the ones that didn't even make the fucking playoffs last year and completely choked down the stretch and just pissed that whole season away. Cleveland, I think, is maybe the team that's ready to win right now. I think there's just not a lot of questions with them. They still have a lot of those same guys that they had last season.
They traded away some odd pieces.
Yeah, it was a little bit, but they added Santander, right?
Yes.
So that was did he end up there? I'm trying to remember. I should be better about that, but and then they still have basically everything intact with that bullpen.
Yeah.
So that their pitching staff is, I think, maybe a little bit ahead of everybody else in the division there.
Maybe a resurgent Shane Bieber.
The Tigers are just kind of haven't really proven that. I love the Flaherty signing. I think that kind of puts them over the top and arguably makes them the best pitching staff in the Central. Maybe kind of that might jump them because if I look back to last season in that playoff series, if the Tigers had Flaherty, I think it's a whole different ball game.
And the best part is that the Tigers got the prospects from the Dodgers and re-signed him.
And I think that I don't think there's going to be really a standout record. I think this division is going to be very similar to what it was last year, where you had three teams that were all right around the same record, and going into the last week or two, they all could play for that division. And I think we're going to see the same thing because I think the Tigers win that division, but I think Kansas City and Cleveland are both wild cards in this. And then I look up. Well, shit. No, I don't. I take that. No, I'm sticking with it. And then I think that the Yankees get the wild card.
Oh, you do?
I think the Yankees get the wild card in there. I'm just worried about what Baltimore can they. I just don't think Baltimore can pitch it. I don't think Baltimore can keep up as far as pitching goes. And this, you have to be able to pitch. You have to be able to pitch, and you have to have bullpens. And I think that these other teams understand that, and they're able to put these, piece these together. And I think Baltimore still is that kind of old school baseball where, we just hit the ball over the fence more than everybody else, and we don't necessarily have, if we, hit the ball, hit a lot of home runs, we don't have to worry about giving up a lot of runs. Well, when you get to the late season and going into the playoffs and all that, you have to be able to win games strategically and pitch through them and turn these, bullpen games where, and I don't think they have that right now. I think that they have to be willing to trade some of these prospects that they have.
They have to
for pitching.
They have to
if they want to put themselves over the top. They're so Baltimore's so gung ho and stuck on the idea of, well, we got the best fucking farm system. Well, that doesn't fucking matter if you don't have anybody that can pitch. So you have to figure that part of it out. You have to get proven guys. And when I look at, this is all assuming that Garrett Cole's healthy also, that he's not going to miss.
I made my pick assuming he's not.
A lot of time. Yeah.
I made my pick assuming he's not.
That could flip flop, where if Garrett Cole's not healthy, maybe Baltimore gets in. But I'm going to stick with, I think 3 teams get to the playoffs from the Central.
I'm with you.
And I think it's beneficial for the Central too, for all those teams, is because you have a team in your division that's basically an automatic win.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's going to come down to whoever wins the division has a better record against the White Sox, and I've got Baltimore over New York going as one wild card, and I have the Guards and the Royals taking the other 2. I'm not high on Minnesota. I mean, but this is going to be a great division to watch. And like I said, the only reason I bumped New York out of that wild card spot is because that the looming Garrett Cole injury. Even if he's not out for the whole year, if he's out for 6-8 weeks, that's still a long time. And again, with the Stanton injury, with the Gill injury, it already seems like this team is behind the 8 ball to begin with, and we haven't even broke camp yet. That's never a good sign. Never a good sign. And like I told you, like we talked about, Paul Goldschmidt and Cody Bellinger. Yeah, in 2019, both those guys would have been great, but this is 2025.
Sure.
And neither one look even close to their top peak performance. In with Goldschmidt, maybe you could say a new face, a new place gets a recharge. I've always been a huge Goldschmidt fan. Didn't seem like he's getting nearly his dues with the Diamondbacks. Traded to the Cardinals, had some success there. Him and Arenado. And then it seemed like both those guys at the same time just went off a cliff. And that's why I really don't think he's that much of an upgrade from a lot of the other guys at first base that they've had.
Sure.
For probably cheaper, you could have kept Rizzo, and at least he's a left-handed bat there in New York. And now you got a right-handed guy, and I really don't see them. Yes, their bullpen is good, but their starters stink. And add on top of that, they traded away Nestor Cortez, so Nasty Nestor isn't even there. Now, the one thing they do have going for them is the well-manicured beards.
I did see that. Yeah.
And I asked the question to the 2K crew. I was like, do the Yankees now employ someone to check beard status? Is there like a beard Nazi that goes around? And what happens if it's not kept? Do you have to go shave it? Do you have to trim it? Do you miss time? What's the rules here? Because you undid a rule that's been ridiculous for years, and now being the Yankees, you probably have other rules. So if your job is to be the beard Nazi for the Yankees, how cool is your job? Probably sucks. You get to hang out with ball players all day, but you got to tell them, hey, buddy, high and tight, let's go, let's go. But yeah, that's that to me. That's the one positive coming out of Yankee camp. That's about it. And this isn't turbo Yankee hater talking.
Yeah.
This is turbo baseball fan. And baseball is better when Yankees Red Sox rivalry is heated and they're both good. And it hasn't been that way for quite some time, and it's been mostly on our side. So now when we're getting there, I want to see the Yankees do good so we can beat the hell out of them instead of, all right, well, they're under 500. We should win all these games. I want to see the back and forth. I want to see the, just that rivalry again. Probably never will happen, but baseball's better when those two teams are relevant.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like I said, this year I don't. And now
They don't make the playoffs this year. Is it for Aaron Boone?
I've been saying it's been it for Aaron Boone for like 2 years, 3 years now.
If they don't make the play, if they are to miss the playoffs in this,
didn't they just re-sign him?
I think, yeah.
I thought so.
And but if they miss the playoffs with everything kind of going into the season, then I mean, there's a lot of Yankees fans out there that
hate him
think
already.
this is like the fucking year, though.
Yeah.
But they think this is the year.
They think it's the year every year.
Yeah.
They're Yankee
And
fans.
then that's just the way it goes. But like if this Yankees team does not, like in our predictions, we kind of think there's a good chance that they don't make it. You're for sure on that they're not making it. I'm kind of in between, seeing what I want to see what the Garrett Cole injury entails. But if they don't make it, there has to be a conversation that, all right,
Absolutely,
he's not the guy. He's just not the guy, because
him, GM, everyone needs to be reassessed.
And this isn't it. I mean, like, they've had a lot of seasons under him, him under the realm and not doing what they should, not living up to the expectations of what they should be doing. And he's just, for us that are not Yankees fans, and I know that Yankees fans, that hear this are going to be pissed, but he's just a fucking douche.
Yeah.
Like, so he's hard to root for and hard to like. Like,
Kevin Cashman's kind of a douche too.
I just don't really like the way that he carries himself, and him being the manager of the Yankees, I already don't really fucking like him too. So, but yeah, to me, in my opinion, if they don't make the playoffs, there has to be a very serious conversation of, maybe he's not the guy.
What if I told you prior to the trade deadline, the Orioles traded for Luis Castillo? Which I think is a very real possibility.
100%.
He's the elder statesman of that, and he's even been linked to Boston before they traded for Garrett Crochet. Not saying Boston's out on him by any means, but the likelihood of them partnering up, which they tried to, and the price was a little too high for the Red Sox. But if you're Baltimore, you have an excess of riches when it comes to that farm system,
sure,
and a lack of pitching depth. Luis Castillo is a dog. He eats innings. He's a stud. Would that change your? Do you think that would be enough to overtake the Red Sox in this division, or the Yankees to get into that wild card spot?
Yeah, the problem, and that's kind of what I was talking about, earlier with them, is they have to be willing to trade.
Yeah,
they're going to have to, and I'm not saying that it has to be Jackson Holiday or it has to be Kobe Mayo, but there's other prospects in that organization that they just simply have not wanted to move. I mean, they had the opportunity. I truly believe if they were willing to give up a Kobe Mayo and give up, a couple other of their top end prospects, I truly believe that they would have been able to work with Detroit last year.
Sure.
For Skubal.
Yeah.
And if they were serious about winning a World Series last year was their fucking year. They had Corbin Burns, and then they could have taken the AL Cy Young. So you had the two best pitchers in the American League, and you could have rolled into the playoffs with both of them. If they were serious about wanting to win it, that's what they would have done. Instead, they thought it was more, it meant more to keep that all intact. We can keep telling you people that we have the greatest minor league system of all time. They keep holding on that like it's such a big deal, and it's not. Like, it doesn't fucking matter at all if you're not
putting winning in the big leagues,
in the postseason, in the big leagues, and pitching has been what has been holding you back for the last couple of years. You have to be willing to do that. Well, if you're bringing Luis Castillo, they're not fucking handing him to you for nothing. No. You're gonna have to give up one of them top prospects. It was
rumored for Boston they wanted Casas straight up.
Yeah,
and I'm like, okay, yeah, no problem with
it. Yeah. Like, Mayo and Holiday are off limits. They're not going anywhere. No. But everybody behind them, you got to be willing to get rid of two. Your number 3, your number 4, if you want to bring an arm over.
Boston got rid of number 4 to bring in Crochet.
Yeah. And that's a risk that you have to take. And if you win a World Series out of it, it's all fucking worth it.
Yeah,
it's all worth it. But yeah, they have to get better. They have to get better. And you look at, I'm a Tigers fan. I don't think the Tigers are at the level right now where they're competing for World Series. But if they were, they have a really, really good young farm system. It's loaded with pitching. Their hitting is not very good. Yeah. They would have to be on the other end of things and be willing to give up
pitching
one of these big time pitchers. They'd have to do it. And as a fan, if I think that that's going to give me a better chance to win the World Series in the present, I'm good with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I watched it happen, and unfortunately, with the Tigers, it didn't happen. They didn't win the World Series,
No.
and they gave up prospect after prospect after prospect after prospect, and they did it over and over again. And I was good with it every fucking time because I
Yeah.
truly felt like this is what's going to get us the. And unfortunately, it didn't work out, and that's how it goes. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
Not every team. There's only one fucking team in baseball, and that's the Dodgers. That's just going to keep continuing to fucking
Yeah.
pay the amount of money that they pay,
Till
and just keep
2050.
on bringing in all these guys, and then keep on fucking bringing guys from Japan over every single season to fill their teams. Like it's basically they're like in an entire different league than
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah.
I can go on that story and all night long because I think that that's very upsetting about what has happened with
Mhm.
baseball in the last couple of seasons, revolving around what the Dodgers have done. But like, you can't be. If I'm a fan of them and they're fucking doing this shit over and over, like they want to win. They
Yeah.
want to win, and winning is important to them.
If you're a Dodgers
And
fan, you love it.
unfortunately, with where I'm at with baseball right now, and what upsets me is I truly believe that there's like 6 teams in the game that want to truly win, and
Mhm.
all the rest of them are just fucking content with rolling a fucking lineup out there and not
Mm.
really necessarily going for it, hoping that they have a situation like what happened with the Tigers last season where they got
Right.
hot and got into the playoffs, and that's fucking great. But any true Tiger fan that was watching it last year was like knew deep down, like, all right, we ain't fucking winning this shit.
Well, you said 6 teams, 2Ks. Let's whittle it down to 2. Who do you got in the World Series? Who wins and how many games? And we'll end the show with that.
As much as I don't want to fucking go with the Dodgers because I fucking hate them, I don't know how you. I'm not. Fuck it. I'm not gonna pick them. I'm going with the Mets. I think the Mets get into the World
I
Series.
like it.
And I think that the Mets play your Red Sox.
Ooh. Who wins how many games?
I think the Mets win it, and I think the Mets. I'm gonna go Mets and I'm gonna go Mets in 6.
Okay. Well, the homer
Which
that I
is
am,
probably fucking stupid because I don't know why I didn't pick the Dodgers because that's
because we hate the Dodgers.
yeah, I just don't want to pick them.
Because we hate the Dodgers. Well, I am also riding my Red Sox, of course. I would be a bad homer if I didn't. And I honestly think as we're sitting here right now, March 9th, they stack up as well as anyone in the American League. Pitching, hitting, bullpen. Is it perfect? No. Is there still a lot of question marks? Yep. But the ceiling on this team hasn't even come close to hitting. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited for the progress this team makes. And once they do hit all cylinders, American League better watch out.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like they're in the American League, so they're good. Like
Yeah.
there's not a team in the American League that's not looking at their team and being like, all right, I'm not so sure about this. There's no team in the American League that's absolutely for sure good
Nope.
with everything that they have going on, or know that it's all good. Yeah, and then when you look over at some couple of the teams in the National League, they're fucking set. Like what can they really do to change things or try to improve their team really any at all? They're fucking set. The National League is a gauntlet to try to get to right now to get through it all and get to the World Series to where I think that the American League is open up and I think Boston is that, in my opinion right now, is that team that on paper look like they're the best team to get to do it.
And I have them going against the Phillies. Give me the Phils. Give me Bryce. Give me postseason Schwarbs. Give me that team.
Mhm.
And I'm taking Red Sox in 6. I think this is their year, the start of many. But if there is a team on paper right now that can stand up to the Dodgers, I believe the Mets have a swinging chance, and I also think the Phillies do too.
Yeah.
It's just right now I have to give the pitching nod to the Phils right now, and that's I'm not saying that Soto and Harper kind of cancel each other out, but they kind of do. So I have to lean pitching on that one, but I think it's those two in the ALC or the NLCS. But I do think it's give me the Phils. Give me the fighting Phils. Well, 2Ks, we did a lot of picking.
Yeah, we did.
Dropped a lot of knowledge. The likelihood of any of this coming true, I'm saying 15%. Because we will look back at this throughout the year to see how close we were. And there's especially, I'm hoping we don't jinx the Cy Young Award winners because we have a very, very good track record of that. But I have a very good feeling about this year. And what was really cool is we agreed on some, but not on all.
Sure.
Which there has been years where we just agreed on everything.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time we're going through this, I have to change my list because I don't want to agree with fucking everything you say. So it was good to have. And now we didn't talk about what we wanted for either one of these. This was you showed up with a list. I showed up with a list. No coordination.
Mm-hmm.
Bada boom, bada bing. And that's the way we like to do things. So anything else we need to chat about 2Ks?
Nope.
We got quite the crew watching us. We got 20 people watching us. What are these 20 people lacking from their lives that they're watching us on a Sunday night? Regardless of what it is, 2K crew, we love each and every one of you. We will see you guys and gals next week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.